After our trip across Canada, we decided to cross the border into the US, into Michigan. I have family in Flint, so we wanted to go and visit them. But before visiting them, we wanted to meet up with a friend of Steve's called Ben. He used to work with him at Mercedes in the UK, but he now lives in Michigan. So we met up with him for a night of camping and met his girlfriend Ashley.
See it.
After leaving Ben and Ashley the next day, we made our way to Flint to visit my family. We've seen this before, the Brits are coming, but we had no idea what was round the corner. After visiting my cousin in Flint, we were on our way to see another cousin before heading to Ben's that evening. We had no idea what was ahead. The truck just cut out on the freeway and we waited for 6 hours for the tow truck to come and get us. Thankfully, Ben agreed for us to be towed to his house while we worked out what was wrong with the truck. Steve got to work to try and find out what was happening. While Maya got settled, we have a Mexican standoff between the squirrel and Maya. Steve spent countless hours trying to work out what was wrong, and finally the realisation that we needed a full replacement engine. Not only that, we couldn't get one in the Americas. Meet Boss. This is Ben's dog, another rescue. We weren't sure how him and Maya were going to get on because of their backgrounds, but actually over time it was beautiful seeing their relationship develop. We'd now been at Ben's for about 2 weeks, Steve working hard on trying to understand what was wrong with the truck. The trauma of having to realise that this trip might be over if we couldn't source an engine, and our wedding anniversary coming up, we decided to take a break and book a hotel suite before getting back to reality and dealing with the issues. It's now harvest time and Halloween, which was quite cool to experience in suburbia in the US. We now realised we needed a new engine, and going through the process of sourcing one that wasn't available anywhere in the Americas was really challenging. But here it is, it's arrived.
We would like to say a huge thank you to all the people that have helped us out during this bad time of ours. There's Wayne Powell, Powell Automotive. He was a top guy in sourcing us an engine and breaking a truck for us so that we could have the engine from it. There's all the guys at RPM Logistics. They got the engine out to us at record time, and I've got to give Andy from Bear Tough a shout out because he sent me a sensor that I broke. My bad.
Today is a good day. This is what we've been waiting for. Engine is finally here. Just need to get it fitted into there. Never thought I'd be so happy to see an engine.
We're so happy.
It might be freezing, but it's a happy day. We are so happy.
Yeah, it's already been snowing this morning, so we're cold.
But the engine's here,
Yes.
which is so awesome.
Yeah, man, awesome.
We might actually drive out of here. Thank you to everyone that has helped us. We can't thank you enough.
No, you've been all awesome guys, giving us a hand and helping us out, finding stuff. No, we really appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
we
you.
might drive out of here now.
There's still hope, we can keep going.
Yay! It was definitely getting cold by now, and the snow was starting to settle. Winter was definitely on its way. Not the easiest temperatures for Steve to have to work in outside.
So not only the engine was difficult to source, but the parts were an absolute nightmare to find as well. Luckily, I came across a guy called Danny in Australia from D&D Automotive, and we managed to find all the parts we needed to rebuild the new engine with new bearings because they were unknown to us and we didn't want the bearings wearing out again, so we replaced them with new ones. bearings were replaced, it was time for some preventative measures. After doing some research, we found that there are potential problems with the oil intake in the sump, and there's a modification the guys down in Australia are doing on those. Basically involves a 50mm plug to try and stop any air getting into the sump. Rebuilding this engine was all completely new to me, and I couldn't have done it without Danny giving me a load of help and advice. He was always on hand with all my stupid questions, no matter what time it was, and really helped me out in getting this sorted and rebuilt.
Yeah, so all the throttle units all been taken off and cleaned out, so that's all nice and spotless. It's the original one that was off of our truck, and also the EGR valve. I've replaced all that because I know that was only replaced before we left, so I know that's a good EGR valve.
Engine's finally loose going in. It's been jammed and hard to get in, but we're getting there.
It's a big old engine to get in a small space.
Yeah.
Skid plate's definitely done its job.
Maya doing her bit to help. Help, not help.
Helping, not helping.
And finally, after what felt like for absolutely ever, the engine was finally resting on its mounts.
With all the stuff going on with the truck and the engine, we also received the sad news that my grandmother had passed. My family were doing something in the UK in regards to scattering her ashes along the seafront with where my granddad's ashes are scattered. So there wasn't a lot we could do whilst we was in the States. So we decided to do a little tea party in honour of my nan. This was because the last time that we spent with her, we took her out for afternoon tea, and we know that she absolutely loved it. We also added her photo and some of the food that she would like to our Day of the Dead celebrations.
So now are we done?
Yeah, I wish.
Left Steve here to go in and cook some dinner. While I was inside, I heard some noises and thought it was the sound of the engine, and I came out to this.
Yes, look.
Oh my god! That's our actual engine running! Oh. That kind of says it in a nutshell. Well done, babes. Oh my god. Never thought we would see this day again. So we had the initial fire up earlier, and now, as you can see, another.
So all the front end are all back in, and now I'm just going to fire it up to see if it'll go again.
Do it.
After finally getting the engine and running, we filled it full of fluids, and it was so disappointing to find a water leak at the back of the engine. I tried my hardest to get to it to see where it was coming from, but unfortunately it was just too slammed against the bulkhead to get to.
So the engine had to come out again.
Sounds a little more like a truck.
Yay! So me and Maya have just come back from a dog walk. Can you hear that sound? It sounds so good. How amazing is this guy? I am so grateful for you.
We did it, it's running.
Yay! What do you think, Maya? It sounds good to have the truck back on, doesn't it? Oh, good. First time driving. She's moving, she's moving. He's only gone and done it. Oh my god, I didn't think I'd see that day again. Smoking a bit, but... in the truck. Steve's just been around the block for the first time. Everything has gone well. He's come to get me, so we're going for our little trip around the block to make sure all is good. Just been around the block. It's all working. We could actually get out of here soon. Thank you. Bye guys. Thank you. Really happening. We are on our way.
On the road again.
Yay. Maya's just loving being out the window again. Super dark. So we left today to head off on our journey south. Poor Steve's worked so hard on the truck. We made it 28 miles. And here we are again. So we thought we were going to get the truck and the camper on the bed, but it's too high for the bridges around here. So we're now trying to separate the truck and the camper onto two separate tow trucks. Definitely not what we'd hoped for at this stage. Tow truck with the camper, obviously the legs have got to come down to stabilise it and secure it. Truck on the other tow truck. Probably our worst nightmare. So it's now almost 9:30 at night. We left at about 2, I think. We've arrived back at Westland and they're now trying to get the truck off one flatbed onto the camper flatbed so we can get the camper back on and get the whole lot off. Just raising up the legs of the camper so that we can get the truck underneath it.
After we got the truck and the camper back to Ben's house, we decided that the engine had to come out again. This was now the third time the engine had come out. Once I'd taken the engine out, I found that the torque plate that goes between the engine and the gearbox had cracked. Luckily, we had another one as it came with the engine that we got from the UK.
We were now in mid-December and anyone that knows me knows that I love Christmas. And bless Ben went out and bought a tree and let me decorate just to make me feel a bit better while we found the little one for our camper too. Merry Christmas! Just out on our normal regular dog walk. Holy moly, haven't you? So it's -4 this morning. Taking our last dog walk around the block before we hit the road. Got a good feeling today this is going to happen. What was meant to be a quick visit ended up being 10 weeks. Ash and Ben, we can't thank you enough for all your support, encouragement and everything that you've done for us, including letting me take over the kitchen and cook some old English favourites. Thank you both for everything you've done for us. This time we made it as far as Indiana. We parked up for the night before continuing the journey the next day. So after 10 weeks of being stuck on Ben and Ash's drive, we're finally hitting the road, and the first stop is somewhere that we're pretty excited about.
On the road again.
On the road again. So we have stopped in, I think I'm saying it right, Joliet, which is just near Chicago. But here is where the prison is from Prison Break, Fox River.
And Blues Brothers.
And Blues Brothers. But it's a long time since I've seen that, so I'm going to go Prison Break for now. Absolutely love being able to stop here and actually see something on the way down. So here it is. We only get 3 months on our US visa, so we wanted to try and make the most of the journey down after spending 10 weeks on Ash and Ben's drive, so we took as much of the old Route 66 that we could. After leaving Joliet, we made it about 30 miles before the truck went into limp mode. We found an old Route 66 garage which had a better code reader than ours, which gave readings around electrical issues or sensors. So we decided that we would continue driving on limp mode because it was too cold for Steve to actually work on the truck. We found this beautiful camping spot in the middle of nowhere. It's the first time we've camped somewhere this nice for a while. So we knew there was a storm coming and we were just going to hunker down. We had about 3 days worth of propane left and food and water. Neither of us have experienced temperatures as low as minus 35 Celsius, so we kept trying the truck to make sure it was working throughout the day until we tried it again and it didn't work.
Let's start with what forecasters are calling a, quote, once-in-a-generation storm.
Map President Joe Biden is looking at shows that barely any part of the U.S. will be spared.
I hear it's dangerous and threatening. This is really a very serious weather alert here.
Out in the Great Plains and the Midwest, at least 8 states have active blizzard warnings because it's not just the snow. There are those freezing temperatures, and folks in Chicago can expect wind chills 30 degrees below zero.
By 2 a.m, our propane had run out, which meant we had no heating source at all. We layered up with clothes as much as we could and snuggled up with Maya to try and keep ourselves warm. The only other option we had was our single cooker that we used for outside. Steve brought it in, but he had to keep rotating the gas cans because they froze up so quickly, but it was the only source of heat that we had. With the temperatures so low and the wind howling, we couldn't sleep, so we started to look up phone numbers of people that we could call once they opened in the morning. Propane, taxis, sheriff, emergency services. No one was able to get to us because we were so remote. Emergency services rescue people were now needing rescuing, so they weren't sending people out. The sheriff's office wasn't able to help us, and our recovery for our insurance told us they couldn't get to us for at least another 5 days. We phoned all the taxi companies begging them to come and get us so that we could get propane. Finally, we found one taxi company that was willing to help us, and Anthony, our driver, became our guardian angel. He made sure that we found propane, and he made sure that we could get to a hotel if we decided we wanted to abandon the truck. He even offered to come and get us on Christmas Day. We are beyond grateful for Anthony. He was our guardian angel that night because we really don't believe that we would have lasted another night. After getting propane, Steve decided to take the battery out of the truck and put it inside the camper. We had a good night's sleep and we were warm for the first time in 24 hours. We'd already made the decision that whether the truck started or not, we were going to go to a hotel. But thankfully, the truck did start once Steve put the battery back in. Also realising that we had fluid in the truck that was purposely made for cold temperatures, we think that's what helped. We ended up making our way to a hotel. We didn't care what the hotel was like, we just wanted to get warm. We both had a hot bath and spent Christmas Day on video calls with our family, which we found really comforting after the ordeal and not even sure if we were going to make it through the night. It was still minus 7 Celsius the next day, which made it incredibly hard for Steve to try and work with gloves on when he was looking at wiring. We decided to continue on as far as we could on limp mode until we get somewhere warmer. We made it to Oklahoma City before it reached 0 degrees Celsius. It was at this point we had to make a decision about which border we were going to cross into Mexico. We originally wanted to go to Nogales so that we could go to Baja, but unfortunately there was a huge mountain range in the way that we couldn't pass on limp mode. Eagle Pass is a crossing between Texas and Mexico. It was a lot closer to us, so seemed like the better option. It also meant we didn't have to pass any mountain ranges to get there. Most of the journey we experienced people shouting at us for going too slow, so we pulled over into the hard shoulder and drove on there and ended up with a flat tyre. So limp mode came in about Joliet. We're now in Texas and 116 miles from Eagles Pass, the Texas-Mexican, or one of the Texas-Mexican borders, and we've done over 1,000 miles now, but it's currently 25 degrees Fahrenheit, the sun is shining and we're still going. Maya's just having some road snacks in the back there. Steve's doing a great job driving the truck down the road. We're actually doing 45 miles an hour downhill. Woo! Being so close to the border now and having 3 days left on our visa, we decided to camp in this beautiful spot. It was a really lovely place and it was New Year's Eve, and we remember saying, wouldn't it be cool to get an Uber Eats delivery, thinking it would never happen. But would you believe it? Our pizza delivery guy arrived with our food and we enjoyed a couple of shots of this moonshine that was given to us as a gift by Mike, Ben's next door neighbour in Westland. Thank you so much. On the 1st of January, we made our way to Eagle Pass. There's a Walmart car park that we knew we could park in. We couldn't believe we'd actually made it all that way. We thought it was only going to be for a little bit on limp mode, and we did the whole journey. We're so happy to have made it to the border with 1 day left on our visa.